Hello, my stamping friends. It's Pam here, and I wanted to come in and show you a club project that I made for today, which is November. Whoops, hold on. There we go. So this was my sample, and this is called a pocket card. And as you can see, you can slide in all different kinds of fun products tucked down into little pockets that fit on your project. Oh, here I said, change the color of this packet. So this was my practice one, but I still think it's pretty cute. It has lots of little tags and little doodads you can tuck away. So this was my practice. And let me grab, where's my real one for today? What did I do with, here he is. So here is the one that you all will be creating for Stamp Club. How cute is that? So we have a little pen holder. You're getting a little mask with a topper. So that goes into one of our pockets. Whoops, I'm trying to hold this up in the air. I apologize. You have a cute little joy tag that you'll be creating. And a little tag that says to and from, right? Because you have to know who you're giving it to. And a cute little, we made little shampoo holders for this. But the thing to remember is that with any of these little pockets, you customize them to whatever you're sticking into your pocket card, okay? So there's no right or wrong, but I'm going to show you how to make this cute project, and then I will give you some measurements as we go along the way. All right, so let me get that out of the way. A couple other things, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I am using the Stitch So Sweetly dies today. So this is the largest one out of those die set. And then these two dies are out of the tailor-made tags. And you will also have those in your kit ready to use on your projects. When you open your packet, you are going to see there are a lot of pieces. So we're going to talk through a couple of them as we go. Whoops. The first three that you will see are 3 pieces. So you have a base piece that's 5.5 by 7.5 inches. You need 2 colored pieces. And so here I have Misty Moonlight and a piece of chipboard. This doesn't have to be overly thick. It can just be what comes from the back of your designer series paper if you want to make more of those. So I am going to set one of those aside for the minute. And while we get ready to go through, I'm actually going to glue this one down. I recommend that as you start moving through all of your supplies, that all of your supplies should actually match what I have. So some of them will need to be set aside to dry. You want to get this one as straight as possible. So probably the easiest way to do that is just to tip it up, tap it on your work surface, and then just, because you're gluing it, you should be able to move that into place just like that. Okay. And then just give that a really good push. So you are going to need to use your glue. You will use quite a bit of that. While this is sitting here, I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight ink pad and a dauber. And if you don't have Misty Moonlight, you can use Night of Navy. And I just want to cover up where I can see the edge of that chipboard, okay? This will just help hide that ugliness. And if you don't mind it, then it can stay there too. That's fine as well. It's not a worry. But because this will take a little bit of time to dry, I am going to do this step right away. And then we're going to move on to a couple other things. So it works best if you do it in stages. And so as you get ready to create your project, it probably took us it took us a chunk of time, but you have to remember there's a lot of us that were stamping and working today. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside to dry. If you used a crumb cake colored base, like what I did on This one, I didn't color it. I just left it plain. So just know, keep that in the back of your head and don't stress. Okay, so that is this will become our base, and we still have this base piece, 5.5 by 7.5 inches. I'm going to set those aside for the minute. Then we're going to come to the first pocket. So this pocket is what I'm calling the big pocket. This is the same color as your base. It's 5.5 by 6.5 inches. I have scored it at 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch on each end going up and down. That's very important that you don't mess that up, but you will find on any of the pockets that they all have the exact same score lines, 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch on each end. If you had something thicker that you wanted to stick in your pocket, then you could just make this maybe, instead of 7, let's see, how long did I say this one was? 6.5 inches. You might go 7.5 inches, and then you could make these gussets on the side a little bit bigger. So what you're going to do is you are going to fold these scored marks. So you have like a little, it looks almost like a little frog leg or upside down L. So I'm going to do both of them. And then I'll hold that up to the camera so you can see that. Okay, so you're going to do both ends like that. You will need some tear tape for this project. So let me grab my tape. And what we're going to do is we're going to put tear tape in between these two score marks that we have on our project. So let me find my end of my tape. So right down at the bottom of your pocket, I'm going to put score tape. Just give that a little bit of a cut. Whoops. And if it goes up the side, it's not really going to make a difference. This is just going to hold our pocket shut. I would just give that a little bit of a burnish. And while I'm burnishing, I am just going to burnish these two edges as well. And you'll find that they're pretty springy, okay, because they're really pretty small edges. Then what I would have you do, and I shared this with the girls today, is that when you use tear tape, if you've burnished that down, and I'm using the flat end of the Take-A-Pick-A tool, if you just go into the middle, see how easy I'm able to lift that? Whoops. And then I can just go like that, because so many times we try to get it from the ends and it doesn't release, or we sit there and we pick and we pick. So I'm just going to push those two little sections of my scored flaps down into that tear tape. What I will do next is on the top of this little scored section, so this is 1/4 of an inch. Whoops, I might have got a little bit too much glue. I have a brand new glue, and when it's brand new, it tends to really come out. So I'm going to put some glue down that little chunk from top to bottom. So you will do that as well. And I will wave it and let this dry, just set up just a second. So what we're making is we're making the big pocket for our pocket card. All right. Whoops, I just lost my sponge dauber, but that's okay. So I'm coming back to our the part that we've actually inked the edges. And this time what I'm going to do is I am going to line up one edge of my scored section, this section I have tucked back. I'm going to line that up with the side of my cardstock base. At the same time, I'm going to line up the bottom where I have the tape. I'm not going to squish it flat because right now I just want to make sure that I get that edge nice and even. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that down until it's nice and even on the bottom as well. Oops, let me try that one again. It's hard to do because I can't see over the camera. There we go. Okay, so even if the secret is to get that nice and lined up, then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to line this one up. And you're going to see that you will probably have a little bit of a bow on your project. And that's okay because, second here, because your project is actually going to, whoops, I didn't get that one lined up right. Because your project is actually going to expand when you put things into your pockets, okay? There we go. So let me get that one lined up. I just need to pull it out of the camera for a minute. I don't know if you can still see this or not. All right, so you can see I have a little bit of a, it's pretty flat, but it's still, you know, it is a pocket. So there is a little bit of play. And I'm just going to turn it over and push on the back side. And that's our first pocket. Now, in your pack of paper, you also have a piece of silver and white designer series paper. Now, this is the Whimsy Wonder Whimsy. So this pocket is 3 by 6.5 inches. Once again, we're scoring at 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch on each end. This time, what I recommend is that you do not use your bone folder on this one because 2 reasons. 1, it's designer series paper, so you probably don't need a bone folder. 2, because it has that silver on it, it's a little bit more fragile. And when you bone fold and you really go back and forth, you run the risk of it ripping. So you can see I've already added my tear tape across the bottom between those 2 points, between your 2 score marks. I'm going to go ahead and add some of my glue down my wings. So there's 2 little pieces that pop up. So let me get this one going. I'm going to peel off this tear tape. And you could even do that before you put your glue on, to be honest. All right. We're going to come back to your pocket. Now, making sure that your pocket opens at the top, right? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to line up one edge of our designer series paper with the left edge of our pop-up card base. Because it's liquid glue, it's going to slide around a little bit, give you a little bit of a cushion. I'm going to line up the bottom of my designer series paper, give that a little bit of a push. Okay. Then I'm going to come over to the right side. Oh, I just got glue on there. Same thing. I'm going to come back. Come on, give me a little bit of wiggle room here. Now I have glue on my fingers. I'm going to come back and I'm going to line up this edge with the edge of my, let me pull that back just a little bit, with the edge of my project. I gotta get my finger out. There we go. And I'm gonna line that up and give that a little bit of a push. There we go. And wipe off my gluey fingers. Hold on. So you can see that we've now created another pocket. And you will see that this pocket doesn't necessarily sit totally flat. And that is okay. If you want, once your glue has set, if you want, you can go in and real gently just give that a push. Okay, so we've now made 2 pockets on our project. All right, so also in your little pile of papers, you have a green, one of our mint macaron pieces. This is for our pocket number 3. Now this one is 2.5 by 3.5 inches, so 3.5 going this way. And I have scored it once again at 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch on each side. And then you will have a topper piece. And your topper piece has these little holly berries and the bright pink on the back. This one is 2 inches by 2.5 inches across. And I have scored that at 1 inch. So what you could do is you could fold that over in half, okay, and get that one out of the way. And you can see I've already added my tear tape on that one just to help speed things up. Okay. So remember, we're folding and burnishing these the same exact way, just like that. Now, before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little topper piece and I'm going to slide that in and see if that sits flush down between the fold lines. Now, depending on how it's scored, how you fold it, you may find that you need to trim it. So I can see that I am going to have to take this off and trim one side. So I'm just going to take my scissors and seriously, just trim off the littlest, tiniest sliver. I'll slide that back on. See if that now closes without it buckling, and it will. So this time I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down, making sure that I don't adhere it onto the side that has the tape, okay? So I'm going to stick that in. Once again, you're between those two score marks. Need to pull that down a little bit. When I did the first one, I actually did it when it was on the front of my page, but I decided it's probably easier to do it this way. Okay, so once you're happy with that, go ahead and add your glue. Okay, and we're going to massage that down. Once again, I'm going to come to the back, peel off my tear tape, push these little wings down into that tear tape, and then I will put my liquid glue on these edges. Now we're going to come back to our card front, and you can do it on either side. I'm going to go ahead and on this one, I'm going to do it on the right side. Now, because these little wings sometimes want to spring out, you do need to kind of hold them in place. Okay, I'm going to set that down so that I have silver showing on the edge and the bottom, and I'm just going to push that down into place. Must not have scored that one or burnished that one correctly, but that's all right. Won't show. Nobody will even notice. Okay. And once again, I'm going to flip it over and just give it a really good push. That's really important to do that to make sure everything adheres as you move along on your journey. Now, in your card kits, you also have around your mask, you will have a piece of, you will either have a piece or two pieces of our silver ribbon, and you will have some of the white glimmer. Now, this is all long. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take that glimmer ribbon. I'm going to go ahead and add some of my tear tape. Might just rip off about that much. I'm going to cover that so it's over my pocket. So you can see that I have, it's over the top decoration, and it's over the actual green portion as well. So I'm going to take this tape and I am going to adhere that just like that, okay? And I'm not going to remove it, and I'm holding down the silver mesh ribbon in the back, okay? And I'm coming fairly close to the edges of the sides. Now what I'll do is I'm going to take some more, and I will take my glittery white ribbon. I'm going to wrap it around the back, and I'm going to come past that silver, once again adding some tape to hold it. Wrap it around the front, and it's pretty tight, okay? And I'll do the same thing here. And I'm not going to remove that protective backing, and I'll just cut this. We'll need this again in a little bit. Okay, so there's our ribbon. Now, in your kit, I have gone ahead and used one of the dies, and I have put some designer series paper on here, stamped and cut. And you also have some twine on a spool. You can cut that into thirds. I'm just going to wax some off. I personally like to just split that into 2 or 3 threads, and you can just pull that, okay? Now I may also have to do this off camera because I need to hold it with my mouth, so hold on. There we go. Okay, so I wanted this particular bow to be really fluffy. So I have split it, and I'm going to fold that in half, thread that through my tag. It's just a little bit easier to thread. And I'm going to tie this in a nice, big, loose, floppy bow, just like that. And I will tie a big bow. And as I pull that down to the size that I want, I am going to just grab one of those threads and just pull a little bit, and that will make my other bow just a little bit small, my loop, I guess, just a little bit smaller. Now, which one was that? There we go. And I'll do the same thing on the other side and just pull those down to the size that I want. Okay, just like that. And then I'm just going to give those a little bit of a haircut, not too worry about how long they are. One of the other things that you have is in your kit, you will have some designer series paper with some ornaments on it. Now, I forgot to cut this one out. So you may have pink ornaments, you may have a single big ornament, you may have what I have here, which is a green bow, and it looks like I have a blue bauble. It was dependent upon what I had in my kit. So go ahead. You're actually going to be cutting out a variety of pieces. But for this little guy, there we go. I'm just going to cut off a little bit more of that. I do leave white around the edges only because it's a little bit easier to cut. And I let my scissor do all the work. So I am spinning my paper for the most part and letting my scissor work. Now, when I get to the top, I'm going to cut off that little tiny loop. You can leave it whole. Doesn't really matter. All right, here we go. Okay, now what I would tell you to do is go ahead and grab a dimensional. Let me see if I have some over here. I had some. What have I done with them? There we go. I'm going to take a dimensional, pop that up in the corner, something like that. And then I am just going to take that bow. If you have a bow, just glue that down, and I'll set that aside to dry while we work on some other bits and bobs, okay? But that tag will slide down into this pocket on the front of our project. So let's set this aside for a minute. Actually, no, I'm going to pull this out. While we have this sitting here, you should have some leftover white ribbon, your glitter ribbon, and silver. Now, because we've pulled that so tight, what I found is just take my scissor and I'm going to thread it under the silver and the white that I've already tied on. Okay, so we have a piece that looks like that. And what I'm going to do, just let me pull that back over, is I'm just going to tie this in a knot. And as I tie that, I'm holding both the silver and the white, and I'm actually going to pull that fairly tight on the front of my project. And then it looks like you have actually a little package bow. I'll give that a trim. I don't worry too much about this piece. I might even, there we go. I'll cut this one. And we'll cut this one as well. And we're going to add some decorations in here. So you would have received a piece of paper that has lots of different little presents on it. I think there's 5 on each sheet. And I have just cut some out. And what you're going to do is you are going to put some down into your package. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Maybe something like that. So I recommend that you leave some white as you trim around them, because that will make things a little bit easier for you. And excuse me. Let's see, how do I want to go? I might put that. Okay, so one of them I'm going to pop up, and 2 I'm going to put flat. You can choose to have them all flat. You can choose to have them all popped. It's really up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and decorate these while I'm at it. And I'll add a little bit. I thought I had a blue one, but I guess I don't, so that's okay. Might turn that bow upside down. And then I might just pop this one. So where's my dimensionals? Okay, so I'm going to pop this one up on the corner. But you can really do whatever you want, okay? But it just looks fun, looks festive. And so you will need to trim those out as you craft and create. So while we're on this front piece, you also have in your kit one of our snowflakes. Now, the snowflake, one side is shiny. You are not going to be able to tell any difference on here, but one side is shiny, one side is flat. What I would recommend that you do is use the shiny side out. Your dimensionals fit right in the middle. Because we are going over ribbon, if you can avoid it and just hit the silver ribbon, that would be amazing. But sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Depends how high you put it. So what you're going to do is you're going to add a little bit of your liquid glue. And that will hold that down on any of your ribbon. I just have to decide how I want might go this way. And I'm just going to hold that there for a second until that glue starts to set up. There we go. Now in your kit, you also have, I've stamped the Oh, What Fun reindeer. You can have that popped, you can have that flat. I think for right now, I'm just going to pop it because I can. And I don't have to open my glue again. There we go. Okay, so we have that done, and we have our first tag done that would sit right in there. So set that aside again. Let's go back to our next project. Let's go ahead and cover our mask. So in your kit, you have a mask topper, which was 3 inches by 4 3/4 of an inch. Your toppers are really designed to go on whatever you have. The mask is really easy because you have that little bit of a little divot. So what we want to do is we want to leave a little bit of space. So I'm going to figure out where I want that mask to go in my topper. And you can use your seal, you can use your glue, whatever you want, because I don't want to be here forever. I'm just going to go ahead and use my seal. And I am going to line that up and pinch that shut. And I do have a little bit of that at the top where it's not stuck down to the actual mask. And that is going to slide into our back pocket. Okay, we're going to set that aside. Now, in your kit, you also have a packet of shampoo. It's funny because I really didn't know what to put in this pocket. And so I looked to see what I had in my stamp room. You have a shampoo topper, which is 2 inches by 2 1/4. And it's the one that has the stripes and the snowflakes. What I want you to do is go ahead and fold your shampoo. Okay, fold it in thirds. And then have a look, because this is 2 1/4 inches going across. That should fit. And then I'm just going to take, you can take glue. I'm going to use my seal. Whoops. I got some on my hands. And I'm just going to seal that shut. Once again, this particular piece is going to depend on what you're going to put in pockets if you make some more. So I'm just going to fold that in half, and I know that that fits. Now, when I close this, I do not want to have that flush against the top of the shampoo packet, because we are going to pierce this with a hole punch, which I just realized is not sitting here. So I'm going to put that down about 1/4 inch onto my paper, and I have about 1/4 inch space at the top. I'm going to close the lid, line that up, and give that a push. And I realize I put away the hole punch, so hold on, let me grab that. So you will want a hole punch to complete this piece. Or if you don't have a hole punch, you could just tie it and glue a bow on there. So I have punched a hole, and I'm going to come back to my twine. Now I am not going to worry about making this one fluffy and skinny. You could if you wanted. I'm just going to take and tie, whoops, thread that through and tie a big bow. Because this is kind of that boho chic looking stuff with the paper, fluffy and big and just fun, looks perfect on here. Okay, so we got that down. And I'm going to come back and decorate this later. So if you are looking at the picture, don't decorate first until you know exactly where everything is going to go. So I'm going to set that aside for the minute. We're done with that one. Now, you also have a shampoo, what I'm calling the shampoo pocket. This one is 3 inches by 6 1/2. That's not right. That must be a 5 by 6 1/2. Let me grab my ruler. So 6 1/2 by 5 1/4. What planet am I on? This is 5 1/4 inches. Okay. And what I've done is I want the trees face out. So I have scored a 1/2 inch right there at the top. See that? And you're going to go ahead and close that using some of your adhesive. And I've also scored that at 3 1/4 inches because it's 6 1/2 inches long. I'm going to line up the edges, make sure those are nice and straight. And then I'm going to push back with my bone folder so I have a nice, even fold, okay? On the inside, you're going to come back in with your tear tape. And I'm going to put some along the bottom. So from that score mark all the way to the edge. I love this stuff because you can just rip it. And then I'm going to go from where the score tape ended and go up this side. I'll give that a little bit of a burnish just to make sure it comes off, and I'll pop that loose. And now I'm going to push that shut. Okay, so once you've done that, you can look at your envelope and say, ooh, which side do I like best? This side, my trees are kind of wonky and missing. This side is whole, so I want this to be the front. In your card pack, you have one of the Stitch So Sweetly die cuts that I have cut for you already. And what I want you guys to do is with the side that you like face up, we are actually going to adhere this down into your die cut shape. What I want to point out to you though, is that down here on the bottom, it's just hanging a little bit further so that our packet fit. And that's okay, but what that means is that you have to be careful not to put glue all the way to the bottom of your pocket. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some glue, but about the last 1/16 of an inch, I am not going to put any glue down. If you had, and this is just because of the size of the item that I have in there, okay? But once again, if you had something that was a little bit different size, you could have it longer and you could just have the decorative edge. You could use a different die cut behind it. There's no right or wrong. This is just to give it a little bit more of a layer look. Okay, so once that's down, I'm going to give that a nice good push. And I'm going to let that dry for a minute before we touch any more of that. But while that is drying, I am going to stamp my Merry Christmas on my sentiment, or my sentiment on my strip. This is a 1/2 inch strip of, now I should have done this beforehand because I didn't. Oh, now I have ink on my fingers, my poor dry hands. That's not bad. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry for a second. While I have the ink out, you will also notice that you have a tag. I've put to and from on mine. You can leave it blank. You can have it whole, whatever you want. I have also included a little punched heart, so you can glue that down onto your tag shape. And I'll just get a little bit of glue there. So basically, we're just getting all of our parts and pieces done. You should have enough twine to go ahead and add a bow. You can have it single, you can have it fluffy. Because I have enough twine, I might do I'm not sure what I'm going to do actually. Let's see. I'll do a bow. Pull that out. Pull one of these. Whoops, there we go. And I'll just give that a little bit of a haircut again. And that tag is done. All right, so I'm going to set that aside again because we're going to come back to that. So when you have your Merry Christmas, I encourage you to just cut and leave maybe a 1/4 inch on the left and a 1/4 inch on the right. And then we are going to pennant. You could have it even at an angle if you wanted, but I'm going to make my 2 little legs. And pennant out the end, just like that, okay? And while I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and add some dimensionals to the back. I might even put 3. Okay, I'll peel those off. I'm going to come back to my little tree, and I am going to, this is my little tree pocket, and I'm going to put that over on the right, more towards the right side of my project. And I have, whoops, I have left a little bit of the green paper showing at the top. Actually, I might want to come down just a titch. There we go. Push that. In your kit, you will have a piece of paper that has little trees on it. One tree will be whole. What I recommend that you do is just put a dimensional on the bottom, okay? And then look and see where you need to add a little bit of glue to hold that on the white cardstock. And actually, you probably wouldn't even need to do this if you didn't want to, okay? Just sit that down and that will glue that down in place. Just hold that for a second. All right, so we're gonna set that aside. What do we have left? All right, we have this little dude left. So this is what we're calling the chopstick holder. So your chopstick holder is 6 inches by 6 inches. You need to score it at 1.5 inches, 3 inches, and 4.5 inches. Okay, so you can decide which side you want out. And I'm just going to, now mine's not quite straight. So I am gonna burnish it, but I would tell you not to really burnish these designer series paper ones, only because I don't want them to rip on you, okay? So I folded all of my score marks. It looks like that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to take one corner and I'm going to fold that up to that first score line. So I'm just making a nice tight corner. Now this time I am going to, see that? I just made a corner. I'm gonna go to the opposite corner and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. All right. Now I'm gonna go to this corner at the top, and this time instead of going to the single point, the first score line, I'm gonna go all the way to the second. So I'm gonna pull that down. And come all the way to the second, okay? The way to remember how to fold it is you're always single before you're married, so we're gonna fold the single tab in first, just like that. And then we're going to fold the double, the married one, over, and we'll bring it around the back. Now, because you have a lot of paper here, you probably will need to give that a little bit of a fold. And you are going to put glue all in this section right here, okay? Now, because this is a chopstick holder, it doesn't necessarily have a bottom that is shut, but you could shut that if you wanted. I'm not going to worry about that, but I am going to even mine off because it looks like I have a little bit of a hot pink showing. So let me just trim that off. Now, we are also not going to decorate this one yet, but you have a pen and you can slide that down inside of there. And that becomes our little pen holder for our project. All right, we have lots of pieces. So moving on, I'm gonna take that one out of the way. I am going to come back, actually we'll come back to this one. So bring back in your Merry Christmas and your shampoo, and you're going to open up that pocket. Whoops. There we go. I have glue on my workstation and on my hands. And then that is going to fit just like that. And we are going to come back and add some more decorations in just a minute. I'm going to cut that a little bit shorter while I can. All right. Oh my gosh, we have lots of pieces. So let's come back to our base. So here's our base. We have our mask and we have our tag. We're going to pull those out for the moment. And we're going to work on the rest of this piece. So you have a decorative strip of, this is 1 inch by 5.5. And what you can do is you can look and make sure that that fits evenly. If you wanted to, Stick back in your pocket that we took out. Sorry about that. And this is really just a decorative piece because I thought that was a little plain. So you can decide where that piece actually sits. I'll probably go there. There's the pocket, but I probably put it about right in that section. So let me grab some glue. So I'm probably down about an inch from the top of that pocket. I'm going to tilt it up so I can make sure that that is nice and straight. Give that a little bit of a push. Oh, look what I did. I have a little bit of glue that sneaked out on me. I was worried about that. Okay, so I'm just giving that a little bit of a push. And while that is drying, I'm going to come back to this piece. So in your kit, you will have a piece of designer series paper. Now this is 2 by 5.5 inches. So it's really, you can make this as little or as big as you want. Now typically I would say score it, but because this is actually quite thick, we are going to just adhere that down onto our project. I recommend, once again, that you use liquid glue, okay? If you don't want to risk the chance of getting glue all over yourself, just do half at one time and then come back and add more when we put the back piece on. But just for time's sake today, I'm going to risk putting it all on, and I might be regretting that, but we shall see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up half of that with the edges. Whoops. And I'm going to flip it over and have a look and make sure that it's even on the back, even height, and that it's lined up on both of the sides, okay? And give that a push. And then I'm just going to slowly bend it over to the back and adhere that back piece down. And if you wanted, you could actually just smooth that out with your bone folder. Okay. All right. Now I have cut, so this particular piece is the same thing. It's the same Stitch So Sweetly die. I've just used some mint macaron and I've just cut out like half a one, because all we want to do is we are going to attach it to the top of our project. So make sure it's centered because it's not the whole length of the our width of our project. And I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add just a little bit of glue. Actually, you can glue it all down, okay? Whoops, now I have glue here. I'm gonna have to clean up. This is going to be hidden. So this doesn't have a specific width because it can be absolutely any width that you have. And I'm going to line that back up and stick that baby down. When I am sticking it down, I'm moving it up so that that scalloped edge, see that, is just flush with the top of my pocket card. There we go. And then once that's good, I'm going to just give that a push on the back. Okay, so we now have something that looks like that. We are going to flip it over and we are going to peel off. Now, because you are attaching, you have ribbon here, you will have to rip it, and just be careful not to unstick your ribbon while you're taking off your tape. So I'll rip that one. There we go. So our ultimate goal now is we are going to adhere the back onto our project. What I recommend for this one is that you actually put your glue onto your piece of cardstock, because this piece of cardstock will not necessarily go all the way to the top of where you think your glue might be. So it's better to put your, better to glue onto the back than have the glue placed on your project. Okay. The best and easiest way to do this is to flip it over, stand your project up like this, and then line this up at the bottom. And then just make sure that it's all nice and even and where you want it to go. Okay. And then just give that a little bit of a push. And there we go. That's how we cover the back of our project. And as you can see, whoops, you have something hanging out. You can either color it blue. Actually, I might color it blue just to help that blend in. Okay. All right, there we go. So there's our pocket card. So let's finish it up. So that can go in there. And our mask is going to go in the back. Okay. Our joy goes in here. You can have it straight, you can have it crooked. Here's our to from, right? That can go down however you want it to go. And what else do we have? We have our chopstick holder. That's going to go in the back pocket with the mask. It's going to stick up like that. So when you cut out your designs, you will also have some hollies. So I've shown you here, I've left quite a bit of white around my hollies. One will have the little filigrees. One is just a little bit plainer. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to take my filigree one. And the reason that we put all of our things into our pockets is that we want to know exactly where we can decorate so that it shows and it looks pretty. So I'm going to add one of my little filigree decorations there with a dimensional because it's just so simple. And I think on this one, where am I going to put him? I might even put him right there. Now, will that, so I've added a dimensional to the back of that as well. And it shows just a little bit, so let me cut that out. And everyone has different bits of holly, so yours may look different than mine, and that's okay. Now, what else do I have? I have that, I have that, I have that. Am I done? Let's have a look. Okay, other than some gems. Isn't that cute? So with your gems, if you have gems at home that are colored, that's awesome. If not, you can color these using your blends. So I have colored some with my, was it mint macaron? I can't remember which color I used. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some gems. So I have a little empty spot here. So with my Take a Pic tool, I am going to add a couple. So these are just my regular clear gems. Over here, I'm going to add a couple just by his little reindeer head. And maybe down here by his feet. And maybe even one more tucked in there, okay? On my little bow, I'm going to grab a medium size gem and put that there. And I think on my heart, I'm going to grab a little small one. Whoops. Small one and put that there. And then I'm going to come up to this corner pocket or the mask, and I will add a couple gems there. So there's no right or wrong where you put the gems, but what I'm looking for is just to balance things out and to have a little bit of a peak. Now, you could even add some gems there if you have some extra ones. What I might do is I might go, come on. Something like that. Okay. And you could even add oh, I don't like that one. All right, so, and then just to finish it, if you have it, you can wink a Stella. I would stay away from wink a Stella. Don't wink a Stella, your little reindeer, because that will run that ink. But you could wink a Stella all of your cutouts, and how cute is that? I'm thinking that you could even put a little gem if you wanted. Oh, that looks kind of silly. I might need two now. So just decorate however you want, and that is our pocket holder. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. I think you'll have fun creating. Love to see you make another one. We were talking today how these two look so different, even though they're exactly the same. Okay, so have fun creating. We missed you. We hope you have a great time crafting. Talk to you soon, you guys. Bye-bye.